Hey, I am at 1359 PlazaView Court in Cincinnati, Ohio. We're doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the Purcell home. Now, what we're looking for is any structural issues, root intrusion, basically anything that would be of concern to the buyer. Our access point is a floor clean out just underneath the hot water heater in the front of the basement. Tried to clear some spider webs out and wipe the camera back off because those are some of the worst things actually to get on the front of the camera, and then you have trouble getting them off if you've ever had them on you, you know what I mean. So this should give me the opportunity to go both directions, both upstream and downstream from this clean out. And so first, we're trying to go upstream back into the house. And so, there we go. So, this is cast iron. And cast iron has a couple things to note, really. Mainly, well, I guess I was wrong. I think I went downstream because it's going right out into clay. So yes, I must have gone downstream first. So we'll try to go upstream when I come back. It's just hard for me to see because of where the clean out is in comparison to the hot water heater. But anyway, what I was saying about cast iron is that it does rust, obviously, by the nature of the material. And so some things of note with cast iron is just that you want to avoid using like wet wipes. Anything that's not supposed to go down there, paper towels, stuff like that. If you ever, toilet paper is designed to disintegrate, and because of how rough the inside of these pipes get with cast iron, we usually, you don't want, it's easier for things to catch on, and so soft clogs are a little more prevalent with cast iron due to that. Excessive toilet paper, wet wipes and stuff can catch, and then they just build up. Now the toilet paper will eventually break down and disintegrate. The wet wipes don't, so they're just basically they don't clear on their own. And so just always recommend, if you're going to use them, just throw them in the trash or something. Don't put them down there. You may get away with it most of the time, but sometimes it will obviously cause those problems. So I just always like to mention that cast iron, you can see, because you can't really tell. You're looking for any structural issues or holes in the line, but also because it rusts, you don't know how thin or thick the pipe walls are unless it's evident by gravel or root intrusion and something like that. And so in this case, this looks like the line is holding shape well. A lot of times you have a bunch of big like channeling and stuff that goes on as the pipe wears, but this, we have some root intrusion right where the 4-inch cast iron goes into the 6-inch clay. Again, this is very common for houses of this age and this material. Clay has 3-foot sections, and so there's just a lot of connections for these reasons. And so, as you can see in this spot here, they're starting to get some solid buildup in this area. My camera did go past it, but I have some stuff on the front of the camera. So a lot of times it'll come and go off, but what we have to do is either run some water, or sometimes we can push all the way out to the sewer main and then pull back. And usually you can see better on the way back because you're not pushing, plowing things up in front of the lens. But where we are, I'm going to kind of pull back to where I feel a little bit of resistance there, and then I'll try to run some water through here to see. There we go. Sometimes it'll start to come loose here. Alright, so I'm going to pause the video for a second, and then I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to go get start running some water so that we can see if we can clear that lens off. Alright, we've got some water running. So hopefully that to clear that camera lens off there. There we go. Okay, so there's some root intrusion there. This is where that spot was. Again, it's not real uncommon to, it's actually very common to have root intrusion, but we want to see if we can get up close and see if there's any kind of, make sure there's no structural damage to the pipe, and this is just buildup from the roots. So again, this is very common, but usually regular maintenance is enough to take care of this, either having it cleaned, usually initially having it cleaned, and then using a root chemical like root killer. The main one is called Root X. And about once a year you use that. A lot of times that will be enough to keep it down, keep the roots down. And so you can see how the reason why my camera is going underwater here is that it's backing up due to the root intrusion. This is a pretty bad amount of roots here. This is probably going to need another inspection after the roots are cleared to be able to check for any structural damage behind all that root ball there at about 40 feet. So first thing we want to do is try to make sure, because it looks like we have gone into concrete pipe. It's very hard to see because of the way the line is, so we're going to hope we can get all the way out. And I'm trying to clear some of this out with my camera, and maybe it'll allow some of this to drain enough to be able to see better. But we do have a lot of root intrusion. So what I'm going to try to do is get all the way out to the main, and then take a better look as we're pulling back. So there we are. We made it all the way to the sewer main. Hopefully this. See if we can get down enough to see if there's any water flowing in this. We may have to run some more water and see if we can rinse this off before we pull back. So I'm not running a ton of water right now. It looks like either way it's going to need to be cleaned and re-inspected to check for any structural issues behind those roots. If it's structurally good, you can get away with this maintenance like I mentioned earlier, but obviously if there's any repairs that are needed, you want to be able to see that. The main thing is just having it, getting it cleaned and re-inspected. And in most cases, the companies that do the cleaning will be able to do that re-inspection after the cleaning, see how much roots are removed, and also check for any structural issues behind those large amounts of root intrusion that could be, covering something that is concerning. So I'm going to try to take another look. I mean, water is moving. So if I can get just enough of a splash in there, I can get the lens up. I'm going to turn the water up a little bit and flush the fluid also, and then we'll give it a second. We'll leave the line recording while we do that. go. I'm going to go ahead and start pulling back here. We should see a pretty big rush when we flush in the toilet. Over some roots at about 58 feet. And this is where I was talking about how the roots themselves at about 58 feet are holding water. And so it's obstructing the view of the camera because it's holding water, is damming up the water enough where it is overtaking it. But because of that water buildup, no way to see behind it in those spots. I'm trying to rinse that camera lens off, but sometimes it makes it worse. There we go. So you can see these large amounts of roots, and they're pretty heavy on the sides, which is something that, you know, obviously you can't see through them. So, I'm trying to get this to get this to some more root trees. Looks like we're back in the clay now. So frustrating trying to see all this when, you know, we'll have to be replaced, or I mean, we'll have to be rescoped either way. There's another spot where the roots are big enough at about 40 feet where it's holding the water behind them. So about 58 and 40 feet are the two largest amounts. Again, we are running water, and so it is escaping, and so I'm going to go ahead and turn the water off and see if we can get the drain down a little bit. And so it may take a minute for this to drain down. But you can see it's mainly just because of the root intrusion that's along the bottom of the pipe that it dams up the water a little bit, causes the water to hold, even if, like in this case, it looks like it's about an inch of water. It covers the camera, and then
it gets up high enough and it is escaping because it'll just rise to that level and overtake it. But it's like we talked about earlier with the cast iron, things like this can also catch materials, and so with regular toilet paper and low usage, it may not be noticeable, but it can very easily catch debris in these areas too and build up even further and cause a full backup. So we're just going to watch this kind of slowly dissipate here and see how low it gets. And in some cases, obviously with the roots also, it'll allow the water through eventually. It slows it down, and so to get over, it'll overtake it, but then if you give it time, the water will seep through the roots. And I think that's what we're seeing here, is it is slowly dissipating. See, it's still there at these spots right before the roots. So no, I think most of it looks really, it looks like most of it is okay structurally. I haven't seen any obvious stuff, but it will need to be cleaned and re-inspected to verify all those large parts of root intrusion, mainly so far at about 40 feet and about 58 feet, I believe. And then we have a little bit more here, and so the entire length of the pipe will need to be cleaned because a lot of these are far enough out. I'd say about a 75-foot snake, 75 feet of snake should be able to get it all. But it is starting, you can see all the roots, it starts right at the connection between the cast iron right here at about 14 feet. Oh, well, that was not the connection, that was the second connection, I believe. Maybe the third. Yeah, here it is. I can see the camera kind of changing. So, it starts at about 8 feet, and that's pretty minor right there, but at 13 feet, it got pretty heavy. So, now what we're going to do is I'm going to try to get over here and turn the camera back upstream so we can take a look at the upstream side of this line. So, I'm going to pull back out, and I'm going to try to face it. Getting pretty close. It's made the turn, but I think we got it going. A lot harder to get it to go upstream than downstream. So what we'll do is we'll push it as far as we can go, and then I'll run some water through the line. It'll be a whole lot more. And the line looks like it's holding shape pretty well. And you can see here that my camera is going vertical. And if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, it kind of shows the angle. And so we are in that stack, in the main stack. So although we can't go up every branch, we should be able to run some water in the bathroom, in the basement bathroom, and hopefully be able to follow that pretty well. Be able to see. So I'm going to pause the video for a second while I get that started. Okay, we've got the water running in the basement bathroom sink, and it's coming right down that stack, and this is should be the high point, or the origin of the line. So you can see that camera lens is nice and clear, so as we pull back, we'll go ahead and take a look at a few things. So it looks like the cast iron is holding shape pretty well. Didn't see any holes or anything on the way out. Again, you do see some rust and mineral deposits along the bottom, which is all normal. And so this isn't anything, doesn't look strange at all. Show you here, that's most likely is coming in from the left is the floor drain. I am also going to run some water in this utility sink and see where that comes in, but I believe that goes into the same stack. And so as we run this, you shouldn't see anything come in from that left side. If it is, then that means that's where it was tied in, but you should see the flow increase above. So back in here, this flow should increase a little bit. And there you go. And so they both come down that stack. So this is just the floor drain right there to the left. And they don't make a camera that articulates and is able to go up that branch. So we can't look at that branch, but all the waste comes down through this line in this area. So we are inspecting the main parts. And so we are witnessing the functionality of the line. And you'll see there's a little bit of buildup there. I think I broke some of it loose with the camera. Huh. Not sure if that looks like actually. Huh. There's something in the line. I'm not sure what that is, but there's a large chunk of something of debris in the line. Now hopefully you would think that you could get that broken up. But that could definitely cause a backup. The water's getting past it, but all your waste and your toilet paper and stuff is going to come through this area too. It could be a piece of, I broke it. It could be just discolored grease, because I think I broke it in half. So it could have been a layer of grease that was built up on the bottom of the pipe from the years. It does happen, because yeah, I was able to break it into pieces. So maybe the black, because the black is the cast iron kind of goes black from the oxidation, and so I think I broke it up. So I think it's an issue, but something to see. I think my camera just scraped it off the bottom, because we are back to the clean out now. And so it's probably just discolored on the bottom. The black is from the oxidation of the cast iron, causing just the bottom side to look black, and inside it looked white. So I think that was just some grease buildup. So not an issue any longer. It looks like it's broke up and should get flushed out of the line easily. But again, we do have the root intrusion on the exterior. The worst ones I saw were about 40 feet and about 58 feet. Those were heavy enough to start holding back some of the water and reducing flow, and also it's enough roots to where they're hiding full inspection of the line. So I'm going to recommend a thorough cleaning and a reinspection to check for any structural issues. But other than that, if there are no structural issues, you can obviously do a little bit of maintenance, some yearly preventative maintenance and stuff, and keep those roots down. You should be able to keep the line open and functioning normally. But again, right now we're recommending a thorough cleaning, reinspection to check for any structural issues. So that'll end the inspection at 1359 PlazaView Court in Cincinnati, Ohio.